Be with you. Today we take our reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Speaking to the Pharisees, Jesus gave them a parable, and he said, "There was a rich man dressed in purple garments, fine linen. He dined sumptuously every day. Lying at his door was a poor man named Lazarus, covered with sores, who would gladly have eaten the scraps that fell from the table. When the poor man died, he was carried away by angels to the bosom of Abraham. The rich man also died, and from the netherworld where he was in torment, he raised his eyes, and he saw Abraham afar off, and he saw Lazarus at the side of Abraham. And the rich man cried out, 'Father Abraham, have pity on me. Send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am suffering in these flames.' And Abraham replied, 'My child, remember that you received what was good in your lifetime. Lazarus received what was bad. Now he is comforted. You are tormented. Also, between you and us there is a great chasm, to prevent anyone from passing and who may wish to pass from your side to ours, from our side to yours.' And the rich man said, 'Then I beg you, Father Abraham, send him to my father's house, for I have 5 brothers, that he may also warn them, lest they also come to this place of torment.' And Abraham replied, 'They have Moses, and they have the prophets. Let them listen to them.' And the rich man said, 'No, Father Abraham, but if someone from the dead goes to them, they will repent and believe.' Then Abraham said, 'If they do not listen to Moses, and they do not listen to the prophets, neither will they listen to anyone who rises from the dead.'" The Gospel of the Lord. I guess I missed a step beginning at Mass, because at the beginning of Mass, I said we were having a celebration of the Eucharist. I suppose I should also mention that we're celebrating the Bills winning. It must be a celebration. Anyway, as you listen to the scripture readings, which we just had for you today, I think that it's fairly obvious that the readings had to do with the topic of social justice. Because Amos, the first reading from Amos, who is called the prophet of social justice, and then we just finished that gospel reading about the rich man and Lazarus, which of course is very much a parable about social justice. Generally speaking, when we speak about social justice, we're emphasizing that those who put in, men, women, whomever, human beings who put in an honest day's work should also have a reasonable share in the world's wealth. I had an interesting incident last weekend. Last weekend I was preaching in the suburb of New York City, and between masses there was a group of ladies who were having kind of a Bible study or something like that going on. But at any rate, they had an interesting discussion besides the Bible study, because they got to discussing Fashion Week. And I think some of you may have read about it. Fashion Week went on all week in New York City there. And the discussion centered around the ladies who thought that buying a $1,000 dress was an entitlement. Should I deserve it? To the other ladies who thought, well, buying a $1,000 dress was a sin. In the book of Amos, of course, we just had a description of that. Amos said all of this was like lying on beds of ivory. He spoke of anointing themselves with the best of oils. Well, today, I'm going to give you an opportunity to look at your ideas of social justice. I'm going to give you an opportunity to look at your ideas of your parish mission statement, because your parish mission statement says that you will maintain compassion and you will maintain concern for those who are poor. As was mentioned in the beginning of Mass, I'm Father Jerry Morgan, and I am with a mission group called Unbound. We have our international headquarters is Kansas City, and had kind of an interesting trip up here. I was flying, of course, and with the weather these days, we ran into a lot of turbulence, and the planes were bouncing up and down and going sideways, making all kinds of creaking noises. And everybody's getting uptight because of all the bouncing around that we were doing. And the stewardess, flight attendants were putting away the carts because the carts were rolling up and down the aisles. And everybody's tightening their safety belts. Seat belts were getting even tighter because of all the turbulence that was going on. After a while, the gentleman sitting next to me looks over at me. He says, Preacher, can't you do something about all this turbulence that's going on here? You must be able to do something. There must be some type of a religious action you can do to take care of all this turbulence. And the guy across the aisle, he looked over and he says, Yeah, preacher, didn't they teach you something in the seminary? There must be some kind of a religious action you can do to take care of this turbulence. Some religious action, holy water, sign of the cross, some religious action. So I got up and took up a collection. Just want to see where you're at tonight. Long day. Any rate, no collection on the plane and no collection on here. Well, you have a collection for yourself, but no collection for me. What I hope to do is to take you for a walk, because the people I work with in third world countries, that is their main and sometimes their only mode of transportation is to walk. If you go from point A to point B, you walk. That's the only way in which they can get there. As I said, our name is Unbound. I've talked with enough people at the other masses that some of them remember our ancient name, but our old name, former name, which was Christian Foundation for Children and Aging. We used to go by the initial CFCA, Christian Foundation for Children and Aging. Now we go by the name of Unbound. Kind of thinking about that change of name, when we began 30 years ago, the emphasis was on the givers. The emphasis was on the receivers, the Christians, the donors. Now for the future, the emphasis is on the receivers. So we've gone from those who give to those who receive. The receivers are those who wish to be unbound. They wish to be unbound from poverty, unbound from dirty water, unbound from lack of education, hunger, etc., etc., etc. We're like other groups you read about. We dig wells, build homes, and things like that. But we also sustain individual spiritual life. We also provide nutrition, medical care, and we have a heavy emphasis on education. We pretty much believe with education that an educated person can help themselves. It's kind of that old cliche about fishing, it's better to teach people how to fish than it is simply to give them fish. But in a nutshell, we do many things to unbind people from the impoverishment in which they are in. What I'd like to do today is to wrap all the concepts and all the materials that we do into one idea, and that is called Child Sponsorship Sunday, in which eventually I'll be asking you if you would like to sponsor a child in a third world country. I think most of you know what a child sponsorship is all about, because if you watch television at all, and you would have seen other groups who do child sponsorship, but they advertise on television. We don't advertise on television simply because we don't believe in it, and also because we believe that any income that comes for the child should go for the child. Those who have television, 50 cents of every dollar then has to go to TV. So we don't do TV, we don't believe in it at all. At the present time, we take care of over 300,000 children. 300,000 is a huge number. That would be filling the Bills Stadium probably 3 or 4 times to get that many people. But we do a great job of over 300,000 children, do a great job of relieving them of impoverishment and its multiple effects. Impoverishment is not just a word you throw out. I mean, who's impoverished? Impoverishment is a lifestyle. If you're impoverished in the morning, you're impoverished at noon, you're impoverished at night. It is a lifestyle where you simply try to survive. The only goal, can I survive the day? Can I survive the week? Survival is the name of opposite of impoverishment. Can I survive? Another way in which we do help children quite a bit, we don't advertise it this way, but it is a fact. And I don't know how many of you read international news, but if you do, you know that a huge problem on the international scene is child trafficking. And we are doing a great job of keeping children out of that whole child trafficking scene. We're showing the kids how they can have their dream in their own country. They don't have to come to America to find their dream. We can help them find their dream right where they live at that time. we do a great job, and of course the irony is we could do more. That's where you come into the picture. We could do more. I know after each one of the masses, I talk with a lot of people, especially people who travel. They often come up to me and they say, you know, Father, in America we are so blessed. And I agree with them. I'm blessed and I'm thankful for it. But they go on to say, we are so blessed, but we take our blessings for granted. We think what we have is normal. We eat with a knife and fork. We think that's normal. There are more people in this world who do not eat with knives and forks than those of us who do. And so I'm simply asking you to not be blind. I'm asking you not to ignore the needs of others. I'm asking you not to be someone that Amos would have been talking about if you'd been living in his day. I'm asking you not to be somebody that Jesus would have made a parable about if we would have been living in his days. Anyway, what does happen, you receive it, if you would like to sponsor one of my children, you receive a packet of information about the child. Actually, I have a few elderly people too, because if you're an elderly person in the countries that we are in, and your children don't take care of you, nobody takes care of you. Definitely not the government, definitely not a 401k or anything else like that. For the most part, we have children. And those of you in the front can see there's a picture of a little girl on the front of this particular packet. All of our packets are different. There's no overlapping with anyone in San Francisco or anything else like that. Each packet is different. Each child is different. Those of you in the front, as I said, can see a picture of a little girl. Down below it says her name is Naomi. It says that she's from the land of the Philippines. Philippines is one of the 20 countries in which we do have children that we take care of. On the inside then of each one of the packets, you're going to find other bits of information. And so, for example, with Naomi here, she speaks 2 languages. Interesting. Most of my kids have at least 2 languages under their belt. Some have 3. They may be poor, but they're not ignorant. And so they could do so much more if they simply had the means to do so, and that's where you come into the picture. It's the means to do so. On the inside then also of this packet, you'll find other bits of information about the child. So for example, it talks about the mother and the father. The father happens to be a carpenter who gets the job occasionally. Talks about the house they live in. They get their water from the well, so whenever they need water, the mother says, Naomi, pick up the water bucket and go down to the well and pump it some water. We need water for drinking, we need water for washing, whatever. Naomi, pick up the water bucket, go down to the water well and bring us back some water. The mother cooks with wood. You know, cooking with wood is fine if you're out camping out, but I think any one of you girls or any one of you cooks who cook with wood 3 meals a day, you would get very, very distracted at that time trying to cook 3 meals a day with wood. The floor of the house is dirt. Always interesting when the floor of the house is dirt, because if you're a Doubting Thomas and you wonder what I have to say is true, we will take you to that country. We'll take you to visit that child. We have about 25 trips a year in which we take people to visit their children or their elderly person. And I can assure you, if you go to visit Naomi, her mother is no different than any one of you girls or housekeepers in here. If you have guests coming to your house, you'll vacuum the rug and you'll dust everything. Naomi's mother will do the same thing. She will be sweeping out that dirt floor simply because she wants to have as nice a looking house as possible when you do come to visit her. And that's actually, this is one of the reasons I love the ministry that I do. I really enjoy it because I get to sit down with these children. I get to sit down with these elderly people. I get to have coffee on some rickety table that is in their kitchen and is sitting on a dirt floor. I get to experience what it is like to live a life like that. And I can also tell you, in many cases, that house will fit in your living room because of its size. So anyway, what the process will be, if you would like to sponsor a child, many of you, when you came in, things have changed with this mass. Many of you, when you came in the back, there were a couple of tables with red cloth on them. At all the other masses, I had some packets of children up here along the steps. I also had children out back there on the tables with red cloth on them. This parish is so generous. I have very few left of these children. And so what I'm going to do after Mass, the few that I have remaining, I'm going to spread along these steps up here. I won't use the tables in back, but it makes it easy. All you have to do is walk along and look at them. because I never know what people are looking for. Some are looking for a birth date, some are looking for a country, some are looking for a name, who knows. But at any rate, I think we'll just go with one place and have them up here. Now, if it does happen that you look at the children I have and you say, well, I want a different country, I want a different name or whatever, these pages, the multicolored pages, are found at each one of the someplace where the bulletin table is at. And what you can do, if you cannot find the child that you would like to have, you may take one of these pages, and at that time you can either write your name and give that to me, or you can take it home and send it into Kansas City, or you can do it on the internet too. So there are many different ways in which it can be done for that. If you would like to sponsor a child, the one thing that, and you'd like to take a packet, the one thing that I absolutely positively need is a multicolored sheet in the packet, and I need to have your name and address on that. Give me the name and address, and you give that to me, and this will go to you, and you may take the child home with you, and it becomes very much a part of your life. And I, of course, will keep the name and address which you have given to me. The gift that we ask for the child, we ask a gift of $36 a month. I don't know what $36 a month means to you. I do know we blow it pretty easily, and you can look at your budget to see that. If you drink a can of pop or a can of soda or even a can of beer every day, you're going to blow $36 in a month quite rapidly. Some of you may be going out to eat in a restaurant after this, and if you do, I can assure you, you will blow $36, and that food comes and goes, and tomorrow it's gone. But if you sponsor a child, your goodness does not come and go, your goodness stays with you. What else with $36? How do we blow $36? Well, I noticed as we were driving in from the airport, I noticed there are a number of Starbucks coffee shops around here. If you're the kind of person that drinks Starbucks coffee, then you could afford 2 children with that. Thank you very much for listening to me. We continue with our profession of faith.